Hey guys, Josh Macin from the Detox Dudes here. I would have liked to have this video out in nature, but I got a 3-hour drive ahead of me and I figured I may as well film during it. I want to talk about why we detox, right? We talk a lot about healthy lifestyle choices and detox and all that, but why do we detox? And the reason we detox, the reason we need to aid our body in detoxifying, right? Because it is indisputable that the body detoxifies what it doesn't need or what it doesn't want and what doesn't serve it, right? That and pretty much almost anyone, even in mainstream science, would agree on that. But why do we need to introduce all of these things into our body to detoxify and help the body to detoxify? The reason is because we have introduced over 100,000 new chemicals into the atmosphere in the past century, okay? We started using, many decades ago, chemicals, metals, and harmful substances to the human being in many different processes, manufacturing processes, food processing, growing of foods and herbs, and cosmetics, makeup, soaps, toothpastes, and basically, to keep things simple, we are creatures of the earth, right? We are creatures of the land, and we are creatures of, God. We are creatures of the universe. We're not just some logical expression walking around the planet, We are complex beings and animals and part of this grand tapestry that is nature. And to be reasonable and to be simple, we could say that any creatures of the earth should be ingesting and being subjected to natural substances of the planet, right? The intentions of the earth weren't to create as much money as possible. That's a man-made creation. And almost all of the chemicals being used in all of these processes are only being used because they save or make money. They increase productivity. So what would be healthful to be subjected to is natural plants and herbs and organically grown food. Of course, the word organically is a silly word because for all of our history, before pesticides and insecticides were introduced, everything was organic. But being creatures of the earth, these toxins that are man-made or man-derived, man-created, are not healthful for us. They don't enhance our biochemistry. In fact, they do the opposite. And because we have become such a money-driven society, pretty much all mainstream processes in the food industry and in any industry of substance that goes onto your body is done with chemicals. If you look at a baby, for instance, the way an average family raises a baby is that they basically give the baby infant formula instead of breast milk. They will give the baby processed foods, Gerber, for instance, right? Gerber is this big corporation that's creating artificial foods and fake processed foods. And they're getting a little better, actually. They're becoming somewhat conscious, but for a baby. So you have someone who's just being born onto this planet getting introduced to, to toxic substances pretty much at a very young age. To substances that create havoc in the gut. So the problem is very, very deep. It's extremely deep. It's even if you've made conscious choices and even if you've tried to be healthy, chances are that you're following some misguided advice, right? I'm not saying that everyone out there is giving faulty advice, but if you take one step away from the current paradigm, let's say 6 months removed from the current paradigm, you're still in that window of like burning calories and lifting weights and drinking whey protein and having tuna fish and stuff like that. So I'm not talking about people like us and people who follow the detox dudes. I'm talking about people who who are just currently finding out that wheat thins and spaghetti isn't healthy for you. So the next level is still very faulty and very false. So even those people are still introducing toxins into their system, and they still have had we all have had a lifetime of toxicity, unless you grew up in an extremely conscious family, that basically started, it started you off as a young child involved in a healthy lifestyle. And chances are you've been introduced to toxins for 20, 30, 40 years of your life. And the body is really an amazing thing. The body is able to, the common objective, the common, what's the word I'm looking for? Rebuttal to detox is that why are all these people floating around, walking around, and perfectly healthy, people who haven't detoxed? And the truth is that a body is extremely, extremely resilient. I mean, if you looked at someone who's morbidly obese, all logic would tell you that they should be dead 50 times over already. If you had an X-ray vision into their body and their intestines and their cells, I mean, wow, it's amazing that some people that I see are still alive. It's like a miracle from God. I find that, someone who's really not taking care of themselves that's still alive, I find that to be the real miracle of life, because it shows you how many chances we have, how many chances the universe wants to give us, and how many opportunities they give us, the universe, the God, whatever you want to call it, gives us to being, to making the right choices and doing the right things. So the rebuttal of why is everybody else not sick or whatever, the truth is that people are really, really sick and really unhappy, and most people are working really crappy, mediocre jobs that they don't like. They have mild to severe depression on an ongoing basis, but of course when that becomes your new homeostasis, it's not like a huge issue. And furthermore, my answer to that rebuttal, which I've gotten sometimes, is I don't think really that people are happy. I think most people are pretty unhappy on a pretty consistent basis. Let's see if this light makes the video better. So why do we need to detox? Being subjected to this type of lifestyle for so many years, eating the incorrect food combinations, being loaded up with fertilizers, pesticides, insecticides, hormones, all kinds of bad bacteria from all the meats, improperly raised animals that we've eaten our entire lives. To think about how many hot dogs we probably ate as children, right? From the ages of 5 to 15, you know, every ball game, every party, every birthday, it was hot dogs and hamburgers, you know? And a hot dog is like very, imagine insanely unhappy, depressed pig eating, like, imagine the most unhappy creature you could possibly find taking that meat and only taking the crappiest, lowest quality pieces of the animal and then processing it. That's what a hot dog is. So to say that, you know, imagine how many parasite eggs are in an average hot dog, you know? So, you know, we go through many years of our lives, you know, being subjected to this, but not hitting that body burden point. That body burden point is the point in time where your body just shuts down on you, right? You could be getting sick for many years and only experience mild symptoms. You know, your body is telling you, giving you signs, little signs here and there, where the universe is trying to give you signs here and there. Slow down, you know, take better care of yourself. And we don't listen because all the noise is so loud. So, you know, there comes a time when you may hit, and some people who've, you know, already been following me know that they've already hit that body burden point where their body just shut down. And that's when you have no choice but to open up to the new world of possibilities. But before then, it's really hard to, you know? It's hard to experience huge change or a paradigm shift without pain, which is totally reasonable, you know? But, so all these years we eat improper food combinations, all the hormones, all of the crazy things that are in our food, processed foods, tons of sugar. You know, you take a look at, you know, okay, then you got a baby who finishes the infant formula. Now they're all grown up. Now they have Frosted Flakes and Corn Flakes and Fruit Loops and Cocoa Puffs and milk with hormones in it, right? And pizza, and this is all just normal stuff, like normal part of being an American citizen, you know? So, and then on top of it, we also have the whole medical system, which has been introducing us to antibiotics. Some babies are being given antibiotics on a consistent basis. And that destroys the flora, right? Undoubtedly destroys the flora in our intestines, which you know, even mainstream medical advice will tell you that the flora are our life, the gut-brain connection, right? So that's why we need to detox, right? Even if you're not sick, even if you're not dying, detoxification allows you to become more and more of the true spirit and soul that you are, right? So, yeah, when we detox, we have a better sex life. When we detox, we make more money. When we detox, we are happier, you know? We have a stronger connection to the divine or to God. We, you know, the benefits are endless, right? We have better cardio, we have better skin, we become better looking, we become more attractive. Yeah, you know, the upside is endless. But the real reason that you detox is to allow the real spirit and soul to flow through your body. Right now, what's happening on this planet is that people's souls, right? So, you know, this may be a little woo-woo, or a little out there, but people have a physical body and then they have a soul, right? If you go anywhere in mainstream, anywhere in religion, anywhere in any history, and any lineage of any shamanic culture, ancient cultures, they will talk about the soul, the spirit. And that's part of the reason why we're so attracted to movies, because movies, for instance, like Avatar, talk about, the Avatar, the blue people and the humans. The truth is that we are both of those fused into one being. We are that human chasing the money, chasing the women, the cars, chasing that unobtainium. But we are also the spirit that is the Avatar, living in accordance with nature, according to the laws of the universe. We're all of that wrapped up into one amazing vessel of consciousness. And when we're toxic, and when we've been eating really, really low vibrational foods for a long time, our biochemistry, right, in a science form, the science way of describing is that our biochemistry does not work properly. Because our cells aren't working properly, the neurons aren't firing, whatever. That's one way of looking at it. But a deeper way of looking at it is that your spirit and your soul has a hard time residing in your body. Have you ever had like disassociation where you don't feel like you're in your body, or just weird feelings of, not feeling present or not feeling connected to yourself, right? All that is your soul is floating around your body, in an immeasurable distance away. Because it's not linear like distance, but it's somewhere around you, hanging out, waiting for you to have all the dials line up for the soul to be able to reside in you comfortably. And to an extreme, taking this to an extreme of mental illness, mental unrest, schizophrenia, serious mental illness, the soul actually basically sometimes can go so far away that you need a soul retrieval in shamanism, it's called, where your soul has, such a hard time residing in your body, and you've gone through so much trauma that it goes somewhere else, and it flies somewhere else and lives in existence on a different plane. And you're kind of here with some parts of yourself, and the bigger parts of yourself are floating around in some dreamlike state. And so that's why we detox, because from this plane, from benefits that we receive on this plane in this paradigm are amazing. They're amazing, right? Living here on earth, you want money, you want to have a good life, you want to be happy. Who doesn't want to be happy, right? But the real magic is connecting with your highest parts and allowing your highest parts to live inside of you consistently. Sometimes, you still feel disassociated even when you're detoxed and healthy. Life is hard, life is really hard. There's a lot of pain in this world. So it's not about being, I'm spiritual, I do yoga, and just like floating around like, life is so good. Yeah, man. And, and I apologize if some of my writing comes across as that. But the truth is that, life is, this being on this planet is not easy, no matter which way you slice it, it's really challenging, even after you detox, right? Even after you do all the spiritual work. It's really hard, It's constant lessons and constant work and constantly managing relationships and dealing with the craziness of the human condition. And pretty much anyone listening to this is interested in, living a spiritually inclined life and living a life of cleanliness and health and well-being, right? You're sick of what's out there and what people are doing. So anyway, back on track here, talking about why we detox. Our bodies, our colons, right, have become cesspools from all of the insane, incorrect things that we're doing. The list goes on and on. Of course, I talked about all the wrong foods, the wrong food combining, antibiotics. There's also the fact that we literally don't chew our food, right? We have been grown accustomed to eating quickly, talking while we're eating, rushing while we're eating, doing all kinds of crazy things, driving while eating, which I'll probably do in the next half hour. But we don't even chew our food properly, which is probably one of the most important parts of being a healthy person. It's just sitting down and chewing your food. So all of these variables, we're pooping incorrectly, right? We are sitting down, compressing our organs when we poop, and compressing our organs during the day. So nothing is flowing correctly. Our bowels, our chi, our nutrients, in none of the paradigms of spirituality, energy, physical, science, all of it comes down to it's not flowing. So our colons have become absolute cesspools of bacteria and impacted viruses, bacteria, all kinds of crazy substances, and impacted with fecal matter, rotting, putrefied, fermenting fecal matter that's just basically chilling in there, getting reabsorbed into your bloodstream and causing you to be sick. If you just ask the question, why does one person get a cold and one person not? It's not that, that the actual strains of the viruses are more powerful. It's that one person has a weakened immune system. One person's body is working way harder on a consistent, ongoing basis than someone else's. And I've actually never in the past 2 years, I have not gotten sick, aside from food poisoning, which I've learned how to combat really, really quickly. Sorry for going on rants here. I'm driving and I don't really have any guidance or anyone talking to me, leading me. But the food poisoning technique is like 6 to 8 drops of oregano oil, essential oil of oregano, and essential oil of garlic, right when you start feeling the gurgles. 40 minutes later, you can have some Enteros gel or charcoal. You can have a full heaping teaspoon of charcoal in water. The next day, or that day, you can do a saltwater flush, which I'll make a video about, specifically a saltwater flush. That, no matter how serious the food poisoning, you're good to go. You're good to go the next day. And I would continue taking charcoal for another day or two. And take laxative tea. If you're not going to do a salt flush, take laxative teas with the charcoal so that you're pooping out all the bacteria and the bad bugs. So anyway, why do some people get sick and other people don't? The thing is that when you have so much going on in your intestines, you cannot fight off disease. And even as sick as I was with mercury poisoning, I never got sick because of how good I was taking care of my body and how clean my colon was every single day, pretty much. So that's the reason that we're susceptible to illness and disease, is Firstly, because of all of the impacted fecal matter. I must have shat out over 10 pounds of rotting fecal matter that had been cultivating and accumulating from the ages of birth to 23. And the next level, right, so that's stage one of why we need to detox. There's a guy named Harvey Kellogg who has done over 200,000 colon surgeries in the West, in the United States, I think in Michigan. And he found that none of the colons were operating correctly. Every single colon had impacted fecal matter and was turned in on itself instead of being clean and neat and folded in the right places. So, taking things further, and where I believe Ayurvedic, Oriental medicine, and many, many forms of health care and holistic care have faulted, is that there's another level of detox that people living in 2017 are 100% being subjected to exponentially higher levels than even 20 or 30 years ago, when cleansing the colon was pretty much the cure-all to all illness. And so the next level is the hormones, pesticides, insecticides, plastics. We're living in a plastic age, guys. Everything is plastic, and we're being subjected to plastic on a constant basis. And plastics mimic estrogen in the body. When plastic is taken into the body through whatever means, even just putting a hot meal into a Tupperware, drinking from water bottles, your body treats it as estrogen. And for both men and women, estrogen is very, very harmful in excess. Men, it causes all kinds of issues with infertility, testosterone levels, it inhibits your body's ability to detoxify. For women, it causes all kinds of imbalances, with just irregular periods and infertility and all kinds of unrest in the body. But anyway, pesticides, insecticides, all the fertilizers, all of the chemicals that we're using in all the different processes, the amalgam fillings, the vaccinations, all of the heavy metals in seafood, and this has basically, what happens is when you ingest these substances that have absolutely no space in no place or benefit to be in your body, they get formed, they all start to sort of coagulate in different parts of the body, in what we would call safe spaces. So the body tries desperately not to allow it to go into the brain, right? The body always wants to protect the brain. That's what the blood-brain barrier is there for. It's like a little invisible, spiritual, energetic flap that once it's crossed, that's when you cross into the brain, right? That's when you cross into the most important organ of our body and our consciousness. And so all of this stuff, compounded over the years, has just been settling in different parts of the organs and tissues. So what the studies they did were with sheep, and they gave amalgam fillings to sheep. They put them, like, just a few in the sheep's teeth, and within 6 weeks, the sheep had accumulations of heavy metals in all of its organs. And So it's not really disputable, right? It's the whole mercury in amalgam fillings, and if they're safe or not, and if they release mercury vapor, it's totally indisputable. So, so this is the next level of detox, right? And this is the next level of problem. And of course, my story is validation for that, because I had worked many months, years on cleaning my colon. And it wasn't until I realized that I had to introduce substances that were able to cross the blood-brain barrier, A, and B, introduce substances that were able to pull toxins out of the organs, that I was able to get my life back. So, imagine, going back on the subject of why we detoxify, imagine being a baby, right? There's something about babies that you can just feel that they're energetically open. They're just nothing but like this love consciousness, true consciousness flowing through a being, and you can feel that they're so bright. Their eyes are so bright. They don't look like they're in pain, well, pain is part of nature, right? They do cry and they do experience pain, but they experience it and it flows through them, and then that's it. It's over. So imagine a baby, right? And how amazing energetically, spiritually, physically that they are, and how clean and pristine they are. Almost like an amazing, fresh, organically grown kale plant with love, and the farmer is singing to the plants and using organic fertilizer from his own feces, and just like really living in communion with nature, nature's intent. And imagine how amazing and nutrient dense the soil was. Incredible. Imagine how nutrient dense that kale would be. So if we compared the baby or the kale to what we are today, what we are today is like a cloudy mess, almost. Not almost. That's what we are. We have become these cloudy brains walking around, right? So we've lost connection to our body and to nature. And through all the years, we've had people, pouring. So like, let's say this baby, another analogy with the baby and the kale would be like that we were this clean, pristine glass of water, right? Imagine all of the years people pouring their dirt in your water, spitting in your water. You're not good enough. Work harder. Make more money. You suck. You're rejected. We don't want to be friends with you. We don't want all this stuff that happens throughout our lifetime, all of it. You didn't get the job. You're not smart enough, all of this stuff has basically created a wilty kale plant, a very, very sad, cloudy human being, and a very, very dirty vase of water. Cloudy, dirty vase of water. And what detoxing does is it allows clean water to be poured into the glass. It's like singing to the kale plant, and giving the kale plant better soil and cleaner water, and so it's all so this is why we need to detox, because we're walking around in these cloudy states of being with our biochemistry all out of whack, unhappy with life, unhappy with the system that's in place. And it allows us to start living life on our terms, to live life the way that we want to live life. It allows you to be your true spiritual self residing in your body. And it allows you to start becoming a clean vase of water. And the vase is going to keep getting dirty. That's the nature of life, right? There's pain everywhere. But when you detox and when you start doing some spiritual work, you learn ways to consistently clean that vase every day, every week, every month. And that's the journey of a healer for sure. So, the last thing I'll say is, another reason why we detox, especially, is if we've had really rough goes at it in this life. If we've been traumatized, if we've had really tough childhoods, abuse, neglect, alcoholism, drugs. When you have a lot of trauma, you hold on to toxins much more than you would if you were a flowing individual who had been given a lot of love. So, when you have a lot of trauma, you're storing a lot of energy and a lot of toxins. And it's important for you to be to achieve homeostasis. It's important to get rid of those toxins, and of course do the emotional work in conjunction. The last thing I'll say about that on that line is, when I was drinking ayahuasca in the jungle, it was a common, reoccurring theme for myself and countless other individuals to be re-experiencing a traumatic experience from life, re-experiencing it in an ayahuasca ceremony, feeling all that pain and fear that you buried deep, deep down into your belly. And as you experience it and finish the experience of it and finish feeling the pain, I would have, and many other people would have, these massive bowel movements during the ayahuasca ceremony. Massive, just rotting old stuff coming out. Literally felt like it would come out, and the second it came out, there were like flies and birds swarming around it because of how toxic it was. And it's all interconnected, right? So, when that detox is like pouring clean water into that vase, and what happens when you pour clean water into a dirty vase? All the dirty stuff comes up to the surface. So you re-experience stuff, you feel stuff, it sucks, it hurts, it's painful, but it's really, really good. Really, really good. So, I know this wasn't the most focused, concentrated talk. Moving forward, I'll probably just have one thing that I'll be talking about on each video, one subject. But, I'm in a car and I'm chilling and, didn't really have anything written down or planned. I didn't even plan on filming this, so hope you guys are enjoying it. Make sure to join the free Facebook group. That'll be linked below. Subscribe, like it, and join that free group, because we're going to be posting awesome content on there. The Detox Dudes is out. Peace, guys.